Today we're going to screen print. Our screens are prepped, nice and taped up, ready to go. So first, you need an apron. I highly recommend this because screen printing can be messy. I also recommend you do it with a partner, makes it a little bit easier. And that you get everything set up before you open any ink. So when I say set up, I mean that you have your screen and you find an open clamp area. However, before you put it down, you should make sure that your area is free of ink. Again, if we get ink on the screen and it dries, then it can ruin the screen. So these clamps here are pretty easy. You slide it in and tight. So it holds it in place. Then, if you have multiple designs on your screen, you might want to cover one up. So if I'm only going to be printing one of these, I'm going to take some scrap paper and I'm going to lightly tape over the designs that I don't want to print. Most of you guys have your own screens and aren't going to have to share, so you won't have to worry about this, but some people do. When I make my own things, I put multiple on there. That way I don't have to make as many screens. It's no big deal covering up a design. And you just put a little paper on there. I'm just using masking tape because we don't want it to stay for very long. And when it comes time to wash the screen, we'll just take off the paper. So I've got the extra design covered up. So the only part exposed should be the design I want to print. From there, we need to grab a few things. I have a squeegee. Okay, the squeegees are actually on the end of the counter on the green wall, next to the aprons. Also, you're going to want to pick out a t-shirt in whatever size it is that you want. Okay, whether it's going to fit you, if you're going to give it as a gift. You only get one. So pick out your size of t-shirt, and we're going to put it on the t-shirt frame. These white frames are going to hold the t-shirt nice and tight, keep it flat. It also makes it so that the ink won't seep through to the back side of the shirt. These are also down at the end of the counter near the squeegees. Okay. From there, you're going to want to pick out your color of ink. They come in these black bottles, these little jars, and it's really important that you try to find one that's open first. These are water-based, which means that they wash out really easy, but that also means that they grow mold. So we only want one jar open per color. You can find the color samples in the yellow cabinet. From there, you just got to find the label for whatever color you want and try to find an open one. This is black, just going to go with standard black. And you'll need something to scoop it out with. I've got a drawer over there that has spoons and spatulas. It doesn't really matter which one you want. You need something to get it out onto the screen. That's all. And the last thing are these guys. We're going to use these magic drops, as we call them, to make sure the ink really sticks into our t-shirt. So, got it all set up, pretty good to go. What am I forgetting? One more thing. Okay, one more. And that is your paper prints. You should always do paper prints before you print onto fabric. Paper is a lot more inexpensive in case there's a mistake. You gotta see how it's printing, how it works first. Plus, you'll probably want to do an addition of prints on paper as well. So, we've got paper to print on. From here, what you're going to do is you're going to lift it up and you're going to put your paper down below. And you don't want to just sit it there. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to lean down and try to see where the light shows through. There'll be a shadow of the design onto the paper. And that way you can see if it's centered or not. Where it's going to go. Okay. After we have the paper in place, we can put the ink on. What we like to do is we scoop out some ink and we put it right above our design. So not one little pile, but if your design is 5 inches wide, you put it the whole width of the design. Okay, so we've got a little glob of it up here along the lane. This is where the partner comes in. It'd be really nice to have somebody to hold this down for you so it stays in place. Also, that person can be lifting it up and having clean hands to go take your prints to the dryer. You can do it by yourself. Sometimes it's easier for people if they have a partner. What you're going to do is you're going to take your squeegee and you're going to pull the ink back. It's going to push down so that the ink goes through the holes where your design is. However, if you tilt it too much, it doesn't really get the nice pressure. You don't want it all the way upright, you want it at a little bit of an angle, okay, but not too far. You can do this multiple times, okay? So I pulled it once. I'm gonna actually scoop up the ink that's already there, put it back on top, do it again. You can do this a couple times, but not too many times. The more you do this, the more ink pushes through. Also, it could be seeping out the sides of the design and not getting a clear line, okay? So you just wanna make sure you got a nice even pressure, and then pull it up and see how it turned out. Now this turned out nice and clean, ready to go on the dryer. Okay. If you were to find little spots, so let's say there's an area where there's a little black spot here and a black spot there, that means that you probably have an area on the screen where the emulsion didn't harden all the way. Now you can take some of that blue tape that we originally taped it up with and put a tiny piece on the back side of the screen, and it'll fix those holes. You always want to do it on the back side, not on the ink side, because when you squeegee, it'll get caught on the tape, while this side it just stays flat and it just blocks out the ink. Okay. This one doesn't look like I have any little pinpricks, so we're good. I'm going to put this on the dryer. And then I'm going to show you that we do the same thing with t-shirts. There's only one difference, and that is the drops. We have to add the drops to the ink. Okay, so to make sure the t-shirt's nice and tight, put this under eyeball again. One of my tips that I always tell people is to print as close as possible to the collar of the t-shirt. For some reason, people always want to print in the middle of the shirt, and when you actually go to put it on, it's in your stomach. Okay, so people don't really like the designs on their stomach. They like it closer on their chest, closer to the neckline. So try to get the top of your design within a couple inches of that collar. I put mine like a half an inch to an inch of the collar. And then also, this board makes it a little harder to get it all the way down. So you gotta try to hold that down as flat as possible. We're gonna put that ink back up here. Except for, instead of just pulling, we have to add some of the drops. Now, the instructions say add 3 to 5 drops. It's kind of hard to add drops because it's a little thick. So instead, I normally just do like a thin stream of it, real thin. Okay. This is what makes the ink stay in the fabric. If you don't add the drops, then when you go to wash your shirt, you wash out. Okay. So add the drops to the ink. Do the same as you did before. So you can pull it up a couple times. And then check it out. If you pull up and it's messed up, don't put it back down. The shirt's gonna shift a little bit doing it this style, so you're kind of stuck with how it looks if it didn't turn out that great. So we've got one spot on here. So it looks pretty good, with the exception of one spot. So it looks like we've got a spot right here, which means that it's pushing through my screen. And I can check it out. It looks like I have a hole there, and I have a rip in my tape, okay? So to fix that, I can put a little tape on this side, but I'm also gonna need to wipe off this tape over here and put another piece there. Sometimes when you got pressure with the squeegee, it'll do that. If you had that curve in the corner and you push hard at the squeegee, it's gonna put a tear through the tape. So you do wanna check for those as you go, okay? Don't just keep printing and having all those mistakes. This does need to go through the dryer, okay? Air drying it isn't gonna cure it. Because it's water-based, it needs the drops, and it needs to be heated to at least 380 degrees, which means it has to go through that dryer, okay? Don't just air dry these. It'll wash out later if you do. Okay, so this goes on the dryer. And then I probably wipe up this a little bit, fix the tape before I continue printing. You can get a lot of prints out of this one screen. When it's time for you to be done, or when you want to change color, then we gotta wash the screen entirely. So for that, I got a couple things to say.